I have lived in Piemonte in northern Italy for 13 years now, and 10 of those years I spent working as a cook in a local family-owned restaurant. And when you spend that much time working in an Italian kitchen, cooking alongside nonna, grandparents, and her kids, and the entire family, you learn pretty quickly that Italian cuisine isn't just about following a recipe. It's an entire cultural system, from how the food is grown, to the history behind the dish, to the person who taught you to make it, and the person that taught them to make it. Hi there, I am Jacqueline for Vero, where we go around the world searching out wild and scarce, hard to find wines, olive oils, and foods to bring to the US for wine lovers, foodies, businesses, and distributors across the country to discover and enjoy along with us. And during our explorations to find these special products, and of course our time living in Italy, Vero founder Sheila Donahue, who has lived in Bologna for many years, and myself have come to understand this cultural system. And it is what inspired Sheila to start Vero and for us to do what we do. And in 2025, the concept of something resembling this system that we found kind of intuitive, or rather this Italian cuisine as a thing itself, was actually made official when it was awarded the UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage status. And it's the first time that a cuisine has actually ever received this award. To really understand why this UNESCO recognition is such a big deal, we have actually had a look at the 3 pillars that our founder Sheila Donahue has highlighted in her recent article on this UNESCO recognition. Now, that article was released on the Vero blog on verovino.com, where we actually share a whole range of articles and topics that regard wine, food, and culture. And we actually have a whole category just for recipes. A lot of these recipes are authentic Italian recipes that have come straight from our wine producers, or the experience that Sheila and I have had in Italy, or even family archives of friends that we have. Now, every time we release an article, the Vero newsletter subscribers are the first to know. You can join the Vero community and the Vero newsletter as well. It's a free newsletter, and you can sign up on verovino.com. I will have that linked below, along with the Vero blog, where you can find those recipes that I was talking about. Now, a Vero newsletter subscription plus a subscribe here on YouTube means that you will never miss any more interesting articles, recipes, and product drops from Vero. Now, back to the pillars of Italian cuisine. These 3 pillars work together to support the Italian culinary system. They are identity and traditions, territory and biodiversity, and sustainability and seasonality. So let's talk about the first pillar, identity and traditions. While it may seem that Italy has a long history, in reality, as a unified country, it is very young, only about 165 years old. Before that, dating back to the Romans, it was just a mismatch of different kingdoms. Because of this history of separate, essentially countries, most Italians will identify first with their specific area that they're from. Their identity is tied to the region and that area and their family and the town. Traditions like recipes will be passed down regionally like a treasured antique. And for centuries, these recipes and traditions were really never compiled together and written down as a whole unit of Italian cuisine. It was always Piemontese or Toscano or Abruzzese cuisine. But it was in 1891 that Pellegrino Artusi published the first book to actually define Italian dishes as one integrated cuisine. He titled it The Science in Cooking and the Art of Eating Well. And it was revolutionary because it recognized that for Italians, food isn't just fuel, but it's the core of la dolce vita. And it was one of the first times that all of the Italian peninsula was recognized as a singular cultural cuisine. And at Vero, we see this same identity present in all our producers. They aren't just making a product, be it wine or cider, olive oil, or hazelnuts. They are protecting a family legacy and local traditions that have survived since long before Italy was even a unified country. Now, the second pillar is the expression of place, or what Italians would call territorio. If you look up the word territorio, it will literally translate to territory. But in reality, it means so much more. It's the soul of a place. It's everything that is grown, crafted, and produced there. It's the local dialect. It's the climate. This is where we talk about a biocultural diversity, which is just a fancy way of saying that the nature, the language, and the food of the place are all part of one interrelated system that goes to create il territorio. Because of this, Italian recipes will change region to region and sometimes even village to villages. I saw this constantly when I worked in the kitchen in Piedmont. Take a classic Piemontese dish like bagna cauda, where I learned to cook it in the langhe. Suggesting that you put cream in the recipe is a sin. It's strictly garlic, anchovies, and olive oil. But if you head out closer towards the mountains of Piemonte, closer to the border with France, for example, using cream is accepted part of the recipe. Now that is part of territorio. It's all about how Italians will get very passionate because you ask them about their nonna's recipe or how something is made in their town. And it can also be the arguments because you suggested to make it a way different than the way they make it in their town. And it's all about recipes slightly changing from place to place because certain ingredients are more commonly found or grown in different areas. It's about what the area gives a tradition. Fish-based dishes along the coastline, or meat-based dishes in the more landlocked areas. Now, the third pillar is farm to table, sustainability, seasonality. In the past, families relied on their own backyard gardens to feed them year-round or would trade with neighbors for what they didn't have. It's a local community system that changes with the seasons and what is best grown in a certain season. And even nowadays, this seasonal attitude will carry over into a more modern grocery shopping mindset. And this idea of in season is so ingrained in the culture and traditions that a lot of times it can be difficult to find an out-of-season vegetable or food, or see things used out of season. This goes for restaurants too. Menus in restaurants and at home are dictated by what's growing at that moment. And this also ties into the many sagre, or local festivals. At a sagra, a traditional local food is exalted to an honored status. And by going to the festival, you can taste that local preparation of that vegetable, fruit, or dish as traditionally as possible. Of course, these sagre are planned around the peak of that thing's season, when a vegetable is perfectly ripe, or when a certain food is traditionally unveiled, be it a cheese that has finally reached the proper maturity, or animal husbandry and it's time for slaughter. Now that's how sustainability is also baked into the culture. The Italian producers, like those that Vero works with, aren't just making wine or oil, they're harvesting in seasons. They're not pushing the land, they're doing things as they have been done for a while. When you buy an artisan product, you're supporting a farmer who's working in harmony with that cycle, ensuring that the land stays healthy for the next generation. Now, when we look at these three pillars and how they intersect, we can begin to understand what Italian cuisine truly is. It's a system of interlinking traditions and cultures that culminate in delicious and amazing food. After all, traditions are built around history. Historically, fruits and vegetables that grew well in an area would of course feature more prominently in the menu of that area, and that creates tradition, and that creates that same sense of place and the territorio, which then feeds into the seasonality because that fruit or that vegetable doesn't grow year-round. And because these rituals and traditions are so important, we don't just want to tell you about them, but rather we want to help you experience them. That is why here at Vero we have created a go-to source for authentic Italian recipes on our blog. And we want to make sure that these recipes we share aren't just Italian style, but they're the real deal, the kind of authentic dishes that respect those three pillars of biodiversity and sustainability and traditions. We want to be able to give you the blueprints to bring out the UNESCO recognized heritage into your own home. After all, at the end of the day, Italian cuisine is a living, breathing thing. It's a history that you can taste and traditions that you can taste. But by seeking out artisan products and taking the time to cook traditional recipes, you are helping to keep this intangible heritage alive. So make sure to head over to verovino.com to check out the blog and start exploring those recipes and so much more. And let us know in the comments below which is your favorite authentic Italian recipe. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by liking the video down below. And to make sure you don't miss any more interesting articles, videos, recipes, and products, be sure to subscribe to the Vero newsletter on verovino.com and subscribe here on YouTube as well. I'm going to leave you these videos about food and recipes and some cooking videos that we have done in the past. See you there. Ciao!